Okay, so far we've been creating a number of emails, and we've been using the global address book to find the names of recipients that we would like to address the email to. I want to show you a little bit more about that address book and other address books that we have as well. So I want to start out here by just going over into the Home tab here, and we have the address book. So we click onto that, and this opens up. Now this is the same thing that opened up. Sorry about that. That's the same thing that opened up when we would go and say, let's say we're going to create a new email, and we went into here and hit the 2, and this little window came up. It's exactly the same thing that came up each time. So we're just directly accessing it just by going over here and clicking on the address book there. Now, this address book is called primarily the global address list. This one is created by your IT administrator, your email administrator, and it contains, for the most part, all of the people as recipients that are part of your organization. So you can kind of think of what you're looking at here as my employees, all right? What you also have in here are names of rooms that we can reserve when we're creating and scheduling meetings and so forth. So you're going to see that. You're also going to see, in this case, a distribution list, and this one's called All Students. That's your group list that contains a number of names in it that we can just use a single name to send an email out to a bunch of people. And that happens to represent all of these here. If I go ahead and I just double click that, let me bring that window back over here, you can see what the contents are of that. Okay, and so nothing really special about that. Now, one of the things you can do in that address book, let me bring it up here again, is that you can actually grab a name here. Let's say student A. You go up here into File and tell it that you want to create a new message. So you click onto there, and there it goes. See, so then you'll have that in there, and you can put your subject in there and all that, and then send it off on its way. Let's close that up. All right, so that's one thing. And what I can also do is I can actually select multiple names. So if I maybe selected this name, did my control key and clicked on a couple more here, all right, I can go back into Home or back into File here, hit New Message, or I can hit Control N on the keyboard, and then I'd have all 3 of those people in there. So that's kind of an interesting aspect as well. So you can actually use that directly to create your emails. I don't know how much more easy it's going to be versus just going up there and hitting the button. What I think also is kind of interesting about it is that you can actually get some insight as to your fellow employees. Now, a lot of the times when your IT people set up your global address list here, not only will they have like just maybe the person's name, but they might have some detailed information as well. So you could actually, when you point to one of these and just double click it, you'll get the window, it'll pop up. Sometimes it'll already have their picture, whoever it happens to be. It might also have some information as far as their personal address, their city and state and all that. And then also, company information over on the side there, organizational information, phone numbers, and so forth. So it's almost like, in a way, it's almost as if it were like a little Rolodex, if anything. So that's a neat little thing with it. Now, the other thing is that from here we can also access other address lists. Now, we're going to be talking about this in the next video here, but if you look in here, we have another thing here called contacts, all right? And the contacts is the people database list that we have, and you can access it using this icon down here. And what that will have in it are all of the contacts that you personally have added to your system that IT hasn't. In other words, there are people on the outside of the organization, people that you communicate with a lot, and you might want to keep track of detailed information on them as well as having their email address to use to quickly address your emails to them. So you have to understand that that IT is only concerned with putting into this into like the global address list only those people that are within your organization. Anybody on the outside would not go into this list, and that would be up to you to put them into, again, like I said, the contact, people database list there. All right. Now, one thing also that would be advantageous to having contacts, in your contact database is that you can actually keep a history on them. You can keep notes on them. And the problem, though, with this is that when it comes to your global address list, all the employees that you have, that you're working with, you can't go in here and add any notes about them, all right? So if you're maybe involved with a number of people at your organization where you're constantly having conversations back and forth, and you want to keep track of the notes, between them, that you take and things that they've said and so forth. You want to kind of keep track of that on each of those recipients, each of those contacts. You're going to have to put a copy of them into your personal, contact list. So, for instance, let's say that student A happens to be somebody that you work with a lot, and you have meetings and so forth and conversations back and forth, and you just want to kind of keep track of that person, right? So what you're going to do then is you can actually click onto them, go back up here into File, and you can tell it that you want to add that person to your contact. So I can take that one there, just like that. Now what will happen is a window will pop up, such as this here. Let me get it resized here so you can see it a little bit better here. And what will happen is that you'll bring that in. It'll have a lot of the information that was already in there brought over into here. And then what you can do at some point is the next time you have a conversation with this person, you can go ahead and you can click on to Insert, click on the date and time, and I'll just go with that right there. So there's our date stamp, and then I can put in the notes, just like that. And then the next time that I come in, I can go and click right here, hit the Enter key, go back up here again, go back into Insert, hit my date and time, hit OK, and I've got my next date stamp, and I can put in information that happened at that time. See? So you're keeping kind of like a running, kind of like a journal or diary or whatever of your dealings with student A. Pretty cool. And then once you've done all that, you can go back into the contact here, go to where it says Save and Close, click on that, and there you go. And you've got that one in there. If you want to do a few more, we can click on a student C, D, and E, something like that. Go back into File, add the contacts. All right. Now, what I'll show you here now, this time it didn't pop up there, but I'm going to go and close this up. I'm going to go back over into my contacts. They call it people, but contacts database list there. And there are the other 3 that I added. So pretty cool, pretty good deal on that. Okay, so that's about all I can say about this. I just wanted to kind of get you kind of familiar with that, with the address book in general, right? And, the different lists that we have. So primarily, just as a review, just keep in mind we've got the global address list, which is the one that contains all of your organization's email addresses, all the people in your organization, along with rooms and equipment and so forth that you might use or reserve in a meeting, all right? And then again, you've got the contacts primarily, and that will be all the people that are in your or I should say, either are in your organization or outside of your organization, but primarily people that you ultimately maybe want to keep track of as far as notes go or anything. And that would be if you brought in, your employees, from the global into here. Otherwise, it would just keep track of people on the outside. So it's pretty cool thing there. So I appreciate you watching the video. Hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit more better understanding of what's going on.